Francis Road, Leyton. Lots of little shops and cafes and stuff down here, including the wonderful Flock's bookshop. You stock my book, Welcome to New London. There's also the wonderful Dreamhouse Records over there, where I might go in there for a mooch actually. Maybe I'll do that now. Time for a Q&A. It's Q&A time for a Q&A. Feels like there should be some sort of intro sequence there. I haven't really filmed one of these since February, I think. And do you know what? I need to find somewhere to do it, because I can't just walk around. Well, I suppose I could walk around doing it. And I was going to go to Coronation Gardens, Francis Road. Lots of people sitting around there, might be quite nice, but all the benches in the street are in the shade. I'm sort of slightly shaded here, aren't I? And I thought, oh, I know. It'd be nice to go to Coronation Gardens. And there's a reason why I can't walk around and do it, which I will tell you about when we get to, I'll tell you now. I've damaged my knee again. I've done my knee in again. So I'm walking now, but I have very limited range before it starts to play up again. So I just realised the Orient are at home. So everyone goes through Coronation Gardens. It's just after 2 o'clock. So Coronation Gardens could be quite busy. Where should we go? We'll find somewhere, don't worry. Never fear. Maybe I'll just sit by Grove Green Road. We can walk to a few places. I'll make it interesting, don't worry. I'll make it visually interesting. I'll try and put in B-roll over it, because there's a lot of questions. A lot of questions that need to be answered. I'm going to try and answer as many as I can, as many as I think you will tolerate listening to. It's actually 10 to 3, so these people are leaving it really late. There's quite a lot of people heading to the ground late. They're playing against Wrexham. It's Orient versus Wrexham at home. Probably should be going to the game, shouldn't I? So we'll just go through Sidmouth Park. You can hear the singing from the ground, and the Filly Brook is running through here. I think this little bridge is something to, I mean, it sounds like obviously it is, but I think it might be too obvious, but it might be a storm drain. But the Filly Brook does run through this park. I think that must be, I'm saying that, I've led several walks through here. And we do say that this is the point. My gut feeling is, or maybe it's not a gut feeling, maybe it's research, is that the Filly Brook is on the other side of the path. But this is associated with it. I will do a few whilst I walk to Coronation Gardens. It's just over the road there. Because you never know, I might not be able to do it at Coronation Gardens, so here goes. This is a good one from Rancid Tony. The names are getting better, I think. So here's an interesting one for you. How about a walk series that takes in locations that we use for album covers? It's a great idea. There are iconic ones such as Pink Floyd's Battersea, the Beatles at Abbey Road, and there must be dozens, if not hundreds, of locations used for album art. My personal favourite is Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, Tony from Birmingham. Yeah, it's interesting, Tony, isn't it? Because I stumbled upon the Ziggy Stardust one when I did that Mayfair walk. It's a while ago now, a year and a half ago now. Battersea, this Battersea power station's got to be in a video, surely. Maybe they've been down there a bit. I'm just trying to think whether it's actually in a video. So, yes, I've walked around Battersea power station. I'll try and find the video. And I think that would be a great website. I bet there is an interactive map on the internet where you can click and find album art. I'd love to hear some others from you. What other ones would you include in that video? A London walk based on album art. Again, yeah, I mean, that's going to be brilliant. I think we'd have to deliberately not do Abbey Road though, right? Here's an interesting question. It's a variation on one I get asked a bit, but I always love answering it, and I try to give different answers each time. If you could time travel and be able to witness any year in London's history, which would it be and why? I usually, when I get asked that question, it's a period of time, and I usually say the time just after the Romans leave London, and it's like an abandoned city. But you say a year, so if I had to pick a year, off the top of my head, one I've been thinking about quite a bit lately is 1381, the Peasants' Revolt, and that idea of them sacking the priory, Wat Tyler's followers sacking the priory at Clerkenwell and setting it on fire and sitting on Clerkenwell Green and watching it burn. I think to witness the events of 1381 would be fascinating. I also, macabrely, would be interested in seeing it during the Great Plague of the 1600s, the idea of zombies wandering the streets of London, although I don't fancy the idea of catching plague. So that's a bit of a downside. Let's find a nice sunny spot in Coronation Gardens so I can sit down and answer your questions. I hope you'll forgive me if I do the majority of this sitting down because of the knee. And now my right knee is starting to hurt, probably because I'm leaning on it more. So hopefully got a bit of ambient noise of the football. Be good. Okay, next question. By the way, thank you for so many questions. I massively appreciate people submitting these questions and taking time and watching the videos. I appreciate everything about it. As a suggestion, this is from Reg, as a suggestion, how about Market London? You could cover ones that have disappeared, moved retail and wholesale from the Romans to the present day, a bit of background to the time they started and what happened to those that have gone, all those cheap names we go shopping at some point. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea. I did a video at the beginning of the year called The Black Path. There's an old drover's route that goes from Walthamstow down to Shoreditch, and there's a great video, and also that gives me a chance to plug the booklet, which is coming out very shortly on the 24th of October, the launch at Broadway Books. Come down to Broadway Books, say hello, pick up a copy of the booklet, the Black Path booklet, published by the Three Imposters, links and all that sort of stuff below. But yeah, that took in a number of street markets, from Walthamstow Market through, there's obviously still a street market at Hackney, and then you've got Broadway Market, which is where the bookshop is, Columbia Road Flower Market, and then it goes into Smithfield Market. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting idea. It'd be interesting just to do the street markets that still exist, many of which have really long, interesting histories. I remember going to the covered market down at Plumstead Covered Market, which is actually in Woolwich. That's a really fascinating market. There's been a market on that site since Tudor times. So London, you're right. And in the city of London Churches walks, I cover quite a few of the sites where there were markets in the city of London. A lot of them have the name of the produce they sold in the name as well. Fish, meat, all old words for those things. Great question, thank you. These are all great questions. Here's a question someone submitted on Instagram. Which are your favourite beers and why? It's a good question. I find it difficult to answer that question. I used to find it quite easy, and now I find it harder than ever. I'm going to say, because I was in Woodbridge last week for the brilliant Woodbridge Ambient Music Festival, I'm going to say Adnams Ghost Ship, because I love the association with Southwold. Southwold's one of my favourite places in the world. I love it. And of course, Young's Special. There you go. I haven't forgotten. Young's Special is a favourite of mine. I love a bit of Timothy Taylor Landlord. And I have an unfortunate real taste for Thornbridge's Jaipur, which is really strong, and it goes straight to my head. 2 pints of that and I'm 3 sheets to the wind. I don't mind admitting that. Call me a lightweight if you will. There's something about that beer where it punches greater than the strength. It's 5 point something, but it has an effect not like other beers of that strength. So it's a delicious drop, but I can't drink very much of it. Question from Mark in Harlow. Mark and Vicky, and sorry, whilst I'm here, I want to give a shout out to, I'm going to look at the note on my app, because I just bumped into them, Harry and Katie. I did remember off the top of my head, Harry and Katie. Just bumped into them in the street, lovely Harry and Katie, and Harry was telling me about the Moorbrook in, I think, Edmonton, where parts of it have been daylighted in a park there. I've never heard of the Moorbrook before, so that's a new one on me, so thank you for that. Lovely to meet you, Harry and Katie, and thank you for telling me about the Moorbrook. Right, on with a question from Mark in Harlow, and he says, if you had the chance to remove any newish building or development in London, what would you remove and why? Also, what would you bring back that has been removed? It's a really good question. I think, look, sometimes it's not actually the architecture itself, it's what they symbolise. So in terms of what it symbolises, I think the Shard, get rid of the Shard. It should be controversial, because some people like the fact that London now looks like Manhattan. Ken Livingstone was a big fan of that idea. I don't like the fact that London now looks like any other city, or I was going to say United States, in the world. There's portions of London now, the skyscraper stuff, tall buildings, out of character for London. I don't like them very much, to be honest with you. I wish we'd retained our distinctive skyline, protected views and all that kind of stuff. Houston is great, Dallas is great, New York's great, Manhattan's great, but we don't want to look like that. Or Dubai, or wherever it is. These buildings are identikit. There's a brilliant exhibition I recount in my book called what's it called, ubiquitously unique, and it was all the claims that architects were coming up for these new big buildings they're building in London, that they were, you know, unique. And of course they weren't. When you saw the elevations in a gallery all together, they all look exactly the same. Again, I made a video about that at some point, which there'll be links to all the things I mentioned below if I hopefully remember. So I'll say the Shard because of the symbolism of the tallest of the new buildings. Is it the tallest building in London? Probably is, isn't it? And what would I bring back that's been removed? Oh, do you know what I would bring back that's been removed? It's still there, but it's in the wrong place. I would put the Temple Bar back over Fleet Street. I love the images I see of the Temple Bar across Fleet Street, and of course the effect it has on, well, you couldn't run double-decker buses up Fleet. In fact, could you run any buses up Fleet Street? I just love that as a kind of remnant of the ancient city of London, the old city of London. And you know, there's all the tradition that the monarch has to stop there to ask permission to enter the city of London. I really want to do a thing about the truth about the institutions of the city of London, because I don't really understand them in terms of its status. There's a lot of stuff that gets said online. I wonder how true it is. But it is governed in a fairly unique way. So that's why I bring back Temple Bar for what it symbolises about London, as opposed, and I remove the Shard for what it symbolises about London as well. Thank you for that question. From Steve, John, big fan and ex-Walthamstow lad here. Thanks, Steve. Now in central Victoria, Australia. Wow. Love your work. Would you consider instigating a collaborative videos with any other similar tubers, Joolz, Tweedy, Geoff Marshall, etc.? Be nice to weave your psychogeographic elements into these formats. Yeah, I would definitely be up for collaborations with any other similar YouTubers. Actually, I'd up for just having a pint with them, really. I think that would probably, I don't know what Joolz would gain from doing a collaboration with me. But it'd be good to have a pint with them for sure. Geoff Marshall, yeah, and Tweedy. I think kind of half-heartedly suggested it to Tweedy a while ago, although I didn't like say let's do a collab, but definitely. And Geoff Marshall, lovely fella. I met Geoff briefly once at the opening of Lea Bridge Station. I just said hello, I think. But top fella, and yes, I would love to do collaborations with any of them. I think that would be really lovely. Or just meet for a pint. Maybe we just meet for a pint and do a pub chat together, have a natter around a table. That would be good, wouldn't it? Here's an interesting one from William. Now, this is the kind of question I might have skipped in the past, but I think it's about having something about having the injured knee that makes me more. And also, I'm getting older, 53 now. Kids have gone to uni. If Russell Brand got in touch with you and said, John, let's do another video for old time's sake, what would your answer be? Not a trick question. I know he gets a few mentions in your books, and I wonder what your thoughts about him now are. The second part of that, I'm not going to go into that. The first part of that is interesting. I'm just trying to think, have I done a video with Russell on this channel? I don't think I have. He did actually suggest doing a walk together. It was almost certainly pre-COVID. Yeah, almost certainly pre-COVID. And he lives out somewhere near the Thames, not a million miles from where I grew up. And so that was what instigated it, because he's now living in an area I'm very familiar with. My dad even more so, where Russell lives. And that was probably, it would have been at least 2019, I think he suggested that, or it might have been 2020, perhaps. Thanks for asking the question. I don't worry, I understand it. It's a legitimate question to ask. Favourite pub in Walthamstow? Checkers, easy, that one. John, you meant, so going from Russell Brand to Nick Papadimitriou, they are linked. That's how I know Nick, is through Russell. You had mentioned Nick Papadimitriou had been unwell. I hope he's better, as I would love to see you two to do another walking video together. Such great chemistry. Love you. Wonderful videos, David and Walthamstow. Thank you. Nick Papadimitriou, for those of you who don't know, I used to do a lot of walking with Nick. Look at the London Perambulator on this channel. It's a documentary I made about Nick. I shot it in 2008, released 2009. We used to do a radio show together on Resonance FM called Ventures and Adventures in Topography, and I loved walking with Nick. We haven't really walked together of any distance since 2015. There's a video on the channel here when we went to Twyford Abbey, so that's coming up for 10 years ago. I did a very short walk with Nick along the Clitterhouse Brook when I just turned up at his flat in 2020, just before the lockdown and all that. And yeah, It would be great. I would love it. It would be a dream for me. And I've spoken to Nick not long ago, actually, about 6 weeks or so ago. So yeah, as soon as if he's up for it, man, I would do it in a heartbeat. You know, it's very close to the kind of origins of the work. I think the first YouTube video I uploaded, 2006, was a walk with Nick. So we should certainly do one by 2026 for the 20th anniversary. Wow. I'm just curious as to how quickly you wear out your boots and shoes and what your preferred footwear is for the walks. This time around I've had quite a few questions about footwear, so that's great. I'm currently wearing, and this is a bit dangerous, that's my dodgy knee, a pair of Merrell walking shoes, and I wear Merrell walking boots. I've been wearing Merrell now for about 6 or 7 years. So I'm on my third pair of Merrell walking boots. The walking boots tend to last about they tended to last about 2 to 3 years. These shoes, I bought these in lockdown. In fact, they feature in a video of the first time I was wearing them. I think I've had these since 2020. So these have lasted for over 4 years, but I only really wear them in the summer, but I wear them in the winter when it's dry and when I'm walking on pavements. I got their ventilator, Merrell something ventilator, and I bought them for summer walking so they would let my feet breathe. And they're brilliant, they're amazing. Like I say, 4 years and they've covered some miles, but I tend to alternate my footwear now. That's why my boots I've had probably as well for a good 3 years. And I only wear those in the winter when it's wet and when I'm walking in muddy areas. So hence they've lasted more than the 2. But before I just wore boots all the time. I get a minimum 2 years out of them, but they're brilliant. Breathable, waterproof, they're great. Highly recommend them. Favourite electricity substation? Great question. I saw a great one in Wordsworth Road, Newington Green, next to an equally pretty chapel. It's a good question also because my favourite electricity substation is near here. Maybe I'll get a shot of it on the way home. It's a majestic one that's just off Leyton High Road. It's like a temple. I wrote about it in This Other London. It's beautiful. It's like an Egyptian temple. It's incredible. And it's in Faraday Road. Thank you. I love that question. I love these questions. Favourite pub in Leyton? Oh, favourite pub in Leyton. Instantly, so I don't know. Oh, why don't I know? Well, it used to be the Leyton Tech, and now it's just reopened as the Leyton Engineer, but I haven't been there yet. It opened about 2 weeks ago, so I can't really say the Leyton Engineer. When that closed, I don't really drink in Leyton really now. I'm just trying to think where in Leyton I would drink. Oh, the William IV. I'm an idiot, but I haven't been in the William IV since it changed hands and Brodie's no longer have it now. So it's not a Brodie's pub anymore. Sorry, I looked there because I'm checking on my battery. It's not a Brodie's pub, so I don't know. So I need to go out for a drink. I need to check out the Leyton Engineer. Maybe I'll do a pub chat from the Leyton Engineer. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Black Lion pub in Plaistow, best pub in London. Not a question, just want your confirmation. Never been there. Never been there, so that's another pub for a pub chat. Black Lion in Plaistow. How do you personally demarcate where one district of London ends and another begins? Are there contestable areas which niggle you, e.g. one person's Friar Barnet's and another person's North Finchley? This is everywhere. In fact, what you discover, something's just happened at the Orient. Orient didn't get a decision they were after, or a Wrexham player has absolutely clattered an Orient player. Have we got any score predictions, by the way? Because Hollywood Wrexham, I think they're going to get turned over. I think the Orient are going to win actually quite comfortably. I think 3-0 Orient. They're saying I can't, anyway, if it's obscene, I apologise. Yeah, most areas actually technically don't, a lot of areas in London technically don't exist. Leytonstone technically doesn't exist as an administrative area. You've got the ward, the council ward, but most of what we would think of as Leytonstone isn't in the council ward. You've got the parish, but of course Leytonstone's more than just the parish. You know what I'm saying. So many of these are contested. The bit that niggles me is Leytonstone. I walked the boundary about 13, 14 years ago with my friend Andrew Stevens. I wrote a blog post about it, which I'll link to below. And there was the point where we had a metric for working it out, and it had to be E11 unless it's in Wanstead. So it's pretty E11 where it's in Waltham Forest. And then, but obviously there's E15 Leytonstone, and there's bits of Leytonstone which are E10. Work that out. So we walked around the E11 postcode boundary where it sits in Waltham Forest. But the contestable point there was when we went up Canhall Road. So we went across the edge of Wanstead Flats, and we got to Dames Road, and we were going to, the boundary of Waltham Forest goes up into Forest Gate. And my mate was going, there's no way, this is Forest Gate. There's no way. No one in their right mind would say this was Leytonstone. We go, yeah, but we're in Waltham Forest. So if we're in Waltham Forest, it's got to be Leytonstone. Anyway, that's just one example. They're all over London. They're all over London. There's boundary wars everywhere. I would like to know which views in London never fail to move you. Thank you. The view in London which never fails to move me is the one from Gilwell Hill, right on the edge of London. Try and remember the exact name. I always used to get there. It's sort of like Yardley Hill. Sorry, Yardley Hill. Well, it's Gilwell Hill as well. Gilwell Hill, Yardley Hill. I think it's Yates's Meadow, and the view back across London. You're basically looking over the canopy of Epping Forest, and then you see the towers around the city, including the Shard, which I've said I would remove. But that's where you get the idea of London, of the stockade in the forest, and I've included it in videos before. It's stunning. That's the one that always moves me. There are other great views, but they don't affect me in the same way. So are St Clement Danes Church and Bow Church merely on road islands as part of a road widening scheme, or is there another more interesting reason that you know about? That's interesting. A walk between the two would be a good one. And the route covered. That's a great idea, Phil. I don't know. I mean, that's a really good. I would think it's probably quite banal. What I want to say about St Clement Danes, I guess, is because you've got a number of wells and underground water sources. There's also possibly another lost river, which I think is covered in the Covent Garden video. But it's in the beginning of my Fleet Street video. I think it's probably more to do with road widening. I'd love to say it's because of the water underneath the road, but they build roads over lost rivers all the time. So I think it is about road widening, but I love the idea of walking between the two. That's fascinating. Great ideas. What season is your favourite to walk in? I'm going to surprise you, I think, here actually, slightly. I have two. It's the season that I look forward to walking in the most, and the season in which I have the best walks. They're not the same. I look forward most to walking in summer because of the long days. I love the long days. I'm not really a morning person. I move quite slowly in the morning, so I like the opportunity to do a long walk where I start late morning, lunchtime-ish, and I can walk for 9-10 hours and have the long summer days. I love that so much. The season, when I look back, year on, year out, the season in which I have the best walks is often in winter. Not even autumn. Autumn is a lot of people's favourite season for walking. Autumn's a lot of people's favourite season. I love autumn. But I think it's since I lived in Sydney, which is a long time ago now, I like the heat. I do like the heat, but winter walks are great. My best walks are in winter, so I'm looking forward to the winter walks ahead. Neither my wife or I drive, says Stephen. Do you ever find that not driving restricts your travel plans? Cheers, Stephen. I've never driven, Stephen. Never driven. So I don't know, because it's never been something that it's been a possibility for me, so I don't know how it doesn't affect my travel plans, because I've never had to make travel plans that included driving. On the rare occasions where it's unavoidable to get somewhere where I need a car, I get a taxi, but I can think of a handful of occasions where that's happened. We just go near public transport. I guess there's places we don't go. It's one of the reasons I haven't done a walk in Mersey Island, though. That's what we will say. That's the one place, because it's very difficult to get to it by public. Well, it's a long way from public transport, right? So planning that walk, getting there and back, is a little bit tricky. That's the one place I would have gone there by now if I had access to a car, if I drove. So otherwise, no, because I've never driven, so I don't miss it. Would you consider doing a walk of York or Edinburgh, both with so much history and stunning buildings? Yes, I should do. Yeah, I should be. I've been to Edinburgh quite a few times, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times. Never been to York, so that's a great idea. I would love to do that, yeah. And more other cities as well. Move the camera again. Out of all the central London or City of London pubs that no longer exist, is there one you would like to have seen survive, and why? That's a great question. I think this was actually the first question from Alice as well. Alice posted this question, and it was the first question when I put this notification up. Yeah, I think, well, the one that came to mind when I first read the question was the King Lud at the bottom of Ludgate Hill, which I suppose I could have gone to it. I think it was still there when I first moved to London. I might be wrong about that. It does ring a bell though. It's the building's still there, and it's a Leon, I think, at the moment, some sort of burger bar. But the reason is very simple. It's because it's where Jack Kerouac first went. When Jack Kerouac visited London, he had a pint in the King Lud and made that remark that if Paris is a woman, London is an old man in a pub looking at you disapprovingly, something like that.
Really missing King Lud pub used to be here.
Yeah.
Because it's the one where Kerouac goes in and has a Welsh rarebit. But there was a head of King Lud, and that sort of embodied the mythical London with the kind of busy mercantile London and the Fleet Street London, and it's gone, and it's called Lyon or whatever. Right. And that's quite important.
So I would love to have gone and tried to sat in the seat where Kerouac sat. Kerouac was a big inspiration for me when I was a young man. Thank you. Great question. Can you describe the feeling of discovering a new walk? Thank you. Or when I plan it, the excitement. It's like when you're a kid and you're looking forward to Christmas before the walk. The excitement of anticipating it is intense, and it just like I think about it all the time and I get so excited. And when I'm like a dog being let out for a walk when I go, I'm like, just can't wait to get at it. And then when you're doing it, it's just complete stimulation. You're just completely absorbed in the experience. It's just going through your whole body. It's amazing. It is incredible. And and the thing with that is it never leaves you. Once you've had that experience, it's in you then. It's part of you. And it comes back to you. It's, thank you for that. That's a great question. They're all great questions, obviously. London has so many beautiful and iconic buildings. Do you have a favourite and why? And also, do you have any you dislike? Cheers, John. It's a little bit like the earlier architecture. I won't do the ones I dislike because I think I've already answered that about the Shard. Oh, wow. Do I have a favourite? I don't have a favourite building in London. I have some buildings which I'm very fond of because of how they feel inside. So one of my favourite buildings in London is the Royal Festival Hall, which thankfully is also aesthetically pleasing. But it's dubbed the People's Palace, and it feels like it. You know, if you go there during the day or in the evening, you see lots of people just use it as a space to hang out. Maybe people without anywhere else to go. You don't get harassed. You can sit there all day. You see people doing their studying there with their books on the table. You see people having meetings there. You see people just having a snooze there in the various floors throughout the Royal Festival Hall. When I worked at the National Film Theatre, that's where I used to go quite a lot at lunchtime. It's classic, some kids having a good time. So that's one of my favourite. And the Barbican has a similar feel inside, although I don't have the same personal connection with the Barbican. And also with the Royal Festival Hall, I came up to London as a student. I grew up in High Wycombe, for those of you not aware, or in a village just near High Wycombe, but I went to Wycombe College and we did a workshop at the National Film Theatre. This must have been when I was doing my A-levels, so I was like 16, 17. And we had to shoot a little film in the style of Eisenstein's Montage. And we shot ours in the Royal Festival Hall, our little team. And I remember that very clearly and thinking, oh wow, I wonder one day if I'll be living in London and I'll be hanging out in a place like this, and maybe even hanging out here. It seemed so, I had a real special feeling to it. So, Royal Festival Hall. Boring ones. It's not a boring question, it's a good question. Do you know why some road names are single names? They don't include the word street, road or way. For example, Kirkdale, I don't know Kirkdale, actually it's a road in Sydenham, Crystal Palace. Bishopsgate, and do you know why some roads are just called High Street, but they don't include the area, like High Road that runs through Tottenham? The first one, I deliberately answer these off the top of my head. I did look at it, but I tried not to look into it. I'll give you my honest reaction. Bishopsgate, it almost is two words. It's the Bishopsgate, so it doesn't need anything else because the name is from the actual physical thing that was there. I guess that might have been the case with other roads, like Kingsway, for example, is the Kingsway to, to Temple Bar. So I think they are actually probably two words that have been compressed into one, kind of, but that's the way I read them anyway. I don't really question those ones so much, although it's a really good idea. The High Road thing is fascinating because you see it, like the great one would be Ermine Street, wouldn't it? And you've got Kilburn High Road, then there's a bit where it's just High Road, then it's Crickle, but it does pick up the name of the place along the way. I think Leytonstone High Road might have a similar thing as well. High Road, and also sometimes they go High Road Leyton. Do you get that as well? The name of the place comes after High. I don't know. I imagine It's my thing, is that it's actually, there is no reason. It's just locally, that's what the council, when they put up the road names, decided to call it. That someone might go, you're bonkers, and there's a legit reason. The comments on this video will be great, and they will contain probably far more knowledge than I am actually by part. Evening, John. Well, now it's about 3:30, but evening, John. Been enjoying going back through your videos. Did you ever complete the London Loop? Also, have you ever considered retracing your old walks and doing side-by-side comparison and see how much an area has changed? Keep up the great work. Thank you. And there's some nice words there from G-Funk, who's a long-time viewer, G-Funk, and long-time commenter. Thank you. I mean, I massively appreciate that. I haven't, no. I mean, by my reckoning, I've got half of one section that I haven't done. And that is half of section 1. The first half, I end up in Bexley Old Town. I've walked the other bit from Erith, because I'm walking it anti-clockwise. I'm walking it the opposite way to which the numbering goes. I have walked from Erith to Slade Green a few times. It's in my book, This Other London, and I made a video, and that is the London Loop. But I haven't walked from Slade Green to Old Bexley. After that, the bits that weren't done as London Loop videos, I think I've covered nearly all of it back to where I started at Enfield. But I'm going to check that once I've done that little bit. I'll do all the way around to Erith and video again, because I'll be doing it in the opposite direction. But I think on the other side of the Thames, I've walked those bits whilst walking the Ingerbourne, follows the London Loop. I walked through Havering at Bower in the snow to go and look at the redwood trees there. That's the London Loop. Parts of the River Rom walk follow the London Loop. And I've walked from Chingford to Enfield a number of times. There might be a little section through Enfield Old Town that I haven't walked, perhaps in a video, by the way. So I think that will be it. So I haven't finished it yet. I'm going to do it soon. And then what I'm going to do, tell me what you think of this idea, is do a compilation video, try and get the whole London Loop into one video. That'd be mad. I think I'd have to cut it down because it would be several hours long, and the file, because it's 4K, would be enormous. It would be like 100 gigabytes or something. I think the match is clearly still 0-0. Let me make sure I'm in frame. Badly lit, aren't I, here? Let me move the camera the other way. Quite nice to be in the bandstand. What are your favourite London-based documentaries or films? Have you seen any work that the band St Etienne has been involved in about London, like What Have You Done Today, Mervyn Day? What Have You Done Today, Mervyn Day is one of my favourite films. I love the work of St Etienne. I love the work of the film director, Paul Kelly, who made those films. Finisterre is also a great film. I've screened What Have You Done Mervyn Day, What Have You Done Today, Mervyn Day at least 3 times, I think. Most recently at Good Shepherd Studios, where I sometimes programme film screenings. Wonderful people there with a wonderful Jake Green. So come down to Good Shepherd Studios, Leytonstone, where we do about 6 films a year in there. And when we did What Have You Done Today, Mervyn Day, Paul Kelly came and did a Q&A. I've done a few with top bloke, as are the rest of St Etienne as well. I love that film. Apart from that one, it's one I go on about a lot. Patrick Keeler's London is the great London film. I won't go through a list of lots of other London documentaries. Well, I'll give one more. So London by Patrick Keeler, and the other one, which is an amazing film, is The Heart of the Angel by Molly Dineen. It's a documentary about Angel Tube Station before they put in the lifts. Sorry, before they put in the escalators, the old lifts and stuff. That's an amazing. You can see that on the BBC iPlayer. It's a great film. I'm loving the questions. Let's check the framing again. Can I get better lit even? Let me tilt it back a little bit. This is, I like this one. Again, I want to hear your answers to these questions as well, down below. What's your favourite song or album about London? I saw Big Audio Dynamite a few years ago at the Royal Festival, at the Festival Hall, and Mick Jones, some London songs on a little record player during their set, Waterloo, Sunset, Streets of London. Well, yeah, 10 Upping Street is a great London album, isn't it, by Big Audio Dynamite. And the videos are great London videos, so the ones I can remember anyway. God, that's a really good question. Favourite album or song about London? I mean, it sounds really, did you say song? Oh, song's fine. Someone's been in touch recently, I think it is a question in here about Madness theme walks. Madness have a lot of songs about London as well. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. The Norton Folgate song is a great one. I mean, there was a band called My Life Story, and they used to write, they wrote a great song about Mornington Crescent, but I think we can go back to St Etienne as well. I feel like So Tough, 1994, is, I always read it as a London album, and there's that song, is it Mario's Cafe, you know, Windswept, Kentish Town Tuesdays, is that line in it. So I'm going to go for St Etienne, because we've just been talking about it, but also, for me, there was a period of time where they really were the quintessential kind of London band, although Croydon boys. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that. The the battery on my camera is dying, so and I didn't bring a spare with me because I didn't think I needed one, because I had, like, you know, a lot of battery power on it. So I've obviously been rattling on for a while. I have to go home, get a new battery, and then I'll film some more of these, probably in my garden, I would have thought. So from here to my garden. So I've relocated back home to my garden with a fresh battery in the camera and had some lunch on the way. I was starving. I hadn't had lunch. That's crazy, isn't it? It was half time at the football. So I had a Ginster's Cornish pasty, got a coffee at home. The wife actually remarked, because she came home about the same time, that we seem to have missed autumn. We seem to have gone straight into winter, from not much of a summer straight into winter. So there you go. Anyway, that's I'll answer some more of your questions, your wonderful, brilliant questions. You have to excuse the state of the garden. It's a little bit of a mess, but you know, I will sort it out. This time of year, it's time for sorting out gardens. You can see my dog in the background there. He will make the odd bit of noise. Somebody asked, would you curate a reading list for the newly curious and the already entrenched? I love that. Yes, I love that idea. Maybe I'll try and pop it in the comments here, not in the comments, in the description here. That would be a good place for that kind of thing, I think. Yeah, thanks for that. Hi John, do you have a favourite bridge in London? If so, why? Love that question. That's great, because a lot of people do have favourite bridges, don't they? I think mine would have to be Waterloo Bridge. It's the bridge I used to walk over when I went to work at the National Film Theatre. And it's great, and it's also a really massively wide expanse. When you're in the middle of it, you feel like you're in this huge open space with the river on either side of you. Waterloo Bridge. How long have you been writing the script for each video? It's going to shock you, I don't write a script for the videos at all. What I do is, sometimes it's rare, but sometimes I don't have any notes. I just go out and kind of see what I find. The ones where I've done research, all I do is write the notes really, and then what you see me saying is what I come up with along the way around those notes. I spend maybe half a day on the note. It depends really. If I'm really into it, I'll spread it over a week. So I spend as long on it as I kind of want to. Sometimes, yeah, an average would be half a day. An average would be about 3 or 4 hours would be an average. But like I say, as you know, some of them, there's not that much research, but they're not scripted at all. Rob, linking back to the musical London question. If you remember, John, you did the Norton Folgate video, thank you very much, which I posted up on Mad Chat for you. Thank you very much for that, Rob. It had a great reaction from the Madness fans. I love that. That's great, isn't it? Over the years, the Madness have sung about many places in London, and many of their fans have said a video about some of those places would be great. A good starting place would be listening to their song We Are London. Have a listen to it and see what you think. Rob from Birmingham. Thanks, Rob. A Madness theme walk will be at some point. I don't know exactly when. If a famous person that you didn't like asked you to join on a walk, would you say no or politely say they could? If a famous person, I must admit, this is because this was one of the early questions to come in. I don't really know. I can't really think of a famous person I don't like, because if you're talking about a famous person I haven't met, then I don't know that I wouldn't like them. You know what I mean? All you know is you don't like their public persona, but you don't know that you don't like them. So if it was someone who was like a kind of famously difficult person, I'd be really intrigued to meet them, to see what they were like in real life, to see whether they were as disagreeable in real life as their public image suggests. I can't. It would have been easier if someone said this person, who most people, I don't know, pick a person you think generally speaking isn't very likeable and most people don't like, then I'd find it easier. But off the top of my head, there isn't anyone I go, I'd never meet that person. People are people at the end of the day, I think. That's my attitude to that. Robert says, hope you and the family are well, knowing you like a pub. Would you do a river walk, taking the pubs in the Thames, i.e. the Prospect, would be town of Ramsgate, telling us about their history, or would you prefer to leave that for free tours, Joolz guys? Well, I mean, short answer to that is I have done a video about where I walk along Wapping and talk about those pubs. What's wrong, Rocky? Is it because I said the word pub? Rocky's fond of a bag of crisps. All right, mate, you can go inside in a bit. Let me answer this question about pubs, and then you can go inside and get warm. Yeah, is that what you want to do? I've done that video. I will link to it below. But yeah, I think all the sort of London YouTubers have their own way of making their videos. I think. I don't think so. I think however many there are now, there's quite a few people, aren't there, doing the kind of walking tour thing. I think if all of us did a video on that stretch of Wapping waterfront, they'd all be slightly different because everyone's got a slightly different way of doing it. I know Tweedy did a video about Prospect of Whitby, didn't he? What you did right? The thing with pugs is they like the warmth and the comfort. I'm gonna take Rocky indoors, and then I'm going to answer questions that have been sent to me on Instagram and on Twitter, X. I did say at the beginning of this video I would answer all of your questions, or as many as I thought you would tolerate listening to. I think that's about 41 minutes now. I think that's probably enough for one go. And I've left it hanging there. And I did answer a few more. And also questions have come in since I posted it, because I recorded that on Saturday afternoon. But it's 5 o'clock on Sunday now, and I quite like to get this online for you on a Sunday. I like to have it there on a Sunday evening. And I've got to colour grade this because I shot it in. That's boring technical detail, but there's a level of work on this I have to do now that I don't normally have to do, and I put a bit more footage in there, that kind of thing. So I think I'll leave it here, and what I'll do is I'll upload the rest of it another time. I won't sort of say maybe when I haven't got a video for a Sunday, you could put it up, and that will be a shorter one. Obviously, this is a bit of a monster, isn't it? So I hope you enjoyed it so far. Thank you so much. Well, I did a sign off. I'll use the sign off that I recorded in the garden. If I did miss your question, I'm really sorry. I think this video will be quite a long video. Thank you if you sat through it all. Just a reminder about the event I'm doing on the 24th of October at Broadway Books, 7 o'clock in the evening. So that should be great fun. The Black Path text, and yeah, as I always like to say, I look forward to seeing you on the next walk. We did a little bit of a walk today, probably about as much of a walk I could do down to Coronation Gardens in Leyton and back up to Leytonstone. And I think we're going to go to the Leyton Engineer tonight, so I'll be able to tell you about that at some point soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks. Take care. Have a great week. I'm not sure if I did say it, see you on the next walk, wherever that may be. Did I not say? I'm not sure if I... And it's interesting, I'll play it with my dad's song. The reason I didn't play out with my dad's song on the Paddington video is because I couldn't get out of bed because of the knee. I had to edit it in bed on a laptop. I couldn't even get up. And I didn't have the song on my laptop. So that was why it wasn't there. But this week, cue the song from Alan Rogers.
It's over the meadow, over the stream, it's where I am going and where I have been. It's been a long day now, it's time for a beer, and now for home, of course I must steer. It's over the meadow, over the stream, I hope you are pleased with what you have seen. How's that?